Evansville, Indiana, don't you dare be sour.
Wait. Evan, we're not doing that.
Why are we not doing New Day?
Because they're not even the tag team champions anymore.
What the fuck are you talking about? They are the tag team champs. You think Cesaro and Sheamus are the real tag team champs? Come on here.
Yes, actually, they're holding the belts. We're not doing New Day. We're going to be original.
No, that's bullshit. They're still the champs in my heart.
Just hear me out here. From the top.
All right.
I am the voice that grinds your gears.
We are the sweet music between your ears.
I am the whiskey-drinking, hell-raising Hoosier heavyweight.
And I am the legend of the bluegrass who loves kicking ass.
Together, we are the main event.
Always under attack, always coming in last, bringing up the past. No one owes you anything, I think. You need a shotgun blast, a kick in the ass, so paranoid. Watch your back!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the Main Event Podcast. I'm sitting here with my tag team partner,
Evan Wells. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, listen, we got a big show tonight. We're going to start off things just a tad bit different than we did episode 1. Me and Evan were shooting the shit and realized we didn't feel like we gave enough time to the beer that we were drinking and to review it. So we're actually going to open up the podcast with the beer that we have for this evening and kind of give you our lowdown from the beginning all the way to the end and whether or not we really enjoy it or it's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, we kind of feel like if we drink the beer again throughout the show, then it kind of solidifies that, hey, we actually do genuinely like this beer. I'm the one who got to pick out the beer this week. I'll give you just a little bit of a heads up on it. It is the Island Brewed Maui Brewing Company. It's a limited release that I found over on Frontier Liquor near First Avenue in Evansville, Indiana. It's a limited release. The beer is called the Blood Orange Lorenzini. It is a double IPA. It is brewed with local citrus from blood orange juice.
Which I told him would have been a lot cooler if it was just, brewed with the blood of a young virgin child or maybe woman.
I mean, whatever you're into, if you want to be metal like that, you can. Shout out to Metalocalypse.
It's brutal as fuck.
Yeah, so this beer is 8% alcohol by volume. It's 12 fluid ounces, or for you British fucks out there, 355 milliliters.
Which makes... God, that's annoying. So anyways, Blood Orange Lorenzini, is that how you pronounce that?
Lorenzini, I believe, is the correct enunciation.
So to give you all the feel and vibe, we're drinking these out of ice-cold Pilsner glasses. Mine happens to be a 2016 World Series Chicago Cubs championship glass.
Chicago Chugs.
Yeah, that too. They chug a lot of beer there.
I just took my first drink out of it. It is a... What do you think, Zach?
If only you could see my face to our fans out there.
That's stout, isn't it?
Stout, yes. I definitely get the blood orange. I feel like I just took a big old swig of alcoholic grapefruit juice. Again, so I'm not going to knock it right away. We're going to give it a little bit of time and let it sit and sip on it through the podcast. My opening thought is not all that pleasant.
It is very strong, and it does taste like there's a lot of juice in it almost.
a lot of blood orange in that there beer, kids.
Yeah, it's like I don't even taste so much of the alcohol, I guess.
I don't even taste the IPA portion of it. It's just blood orange.
I don't know. I mean, we're gonna get our what do you get out of oranges? Vitamin C.
Sure.
Yeah. We're gonna our immune system is gonna be stellar after this.
After one beer, you can now run a mile quicker than any man has ran a mile in his life. Mainly because you're trying to get to the toilet to throw up your cookies.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, it's not.
I think it's going to grow on us because you and I have grown kind of fond of IPAs over time. So I'm not that worried about it.
It's almost like drinking right at the moment like flat seltzer water, like soda water. You know what I'm talking about? Like how there's like, have you ever got carbonated water? You went into like a gas station, you went to go get a big 40-ounce Mountain Dew, and you just get the carbonated water. That's what the fuck this is right at the moment. It's Mountain Dew with no Mountain Dew syrup. It's just carbonated water.
Some people like that, though.
Some people are fucking retarded.
I mean,
some people also lick windows and find that their favorite color is clear, but we're not talking about those people in this podcast right now. And if you are one of them and that offends you, go fuck yourself.
why did you whisper that? You just could have just said it.
I wanted them to lean in a little closer.
You want them like to turn up the volume and lean their ear in.
Exactly.
Listen closely, my child. Let me tell you of your fuckery.
You're retarded. All right, so to really get into the meat and potatoes of things tonight, we're going to hit the hot topic of the evening, the Absolute, yes.
Absolute. You're already drunk from that beer.
I'm telling you, one
Blood
sip.
oranges make you drunk.
The absolute horrid football games that were on this evening, watching the Atlanta Falcons do the dirty bird all over Aaron Rodgers and his discount double check. That game was not close from the fucking beginning. They opened it up and just poured it on them. And I think even though the Patriots, who also put a flat-out beat down on Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think the Patriots are at a disadvantage in 2 weeks. I don't think their defense is going to be stout enough to contain Atlanta.
So why do you feel like the defense isn't going to be stout enough for Atlanta?
Name me 3 guys they have on their defense right now.
I can't even name you half the players that are on the offense because I hate them. Like it's Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Julian Edelman,
Chris Hogan, who's the widest receiver you're going to find, and apparently under Tom Brady is a complete badass.
Yeah, like I hate the Patriots, so I don't even try to keep up with them anyways. But that being said, I think that it's going to be more of an offensive Super Bowl than what we've seen the past couple of years.
Well, I'll agree with you there, but you all know as well as I do, very rarely, especially in the last, I feel, almost decade, do you find a Super Bowl and it's competitive down to the wire. Now, a couple years ago when it was Seahawks-Patriots, that was a different story, but more often or not, it's like one team shows up and the other one's done by halftime, and that's just kind of how it plays out. Last year being a key example, Denver come out, slapped their dicks on the table, and looked at Carolina and said, "Come get some, boys." And it stayed that way from the first down till the end of the game when a crippled, broken Peyton Manning strolled off into the sunset with another Super Bowl. Right?
Brokeback Mountain style, as they would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a shootout. I honestly can't tell you which way it's gonna go just because they're both going to be offensive juggernauts. Neither of them have a very strong defense, I don't think.
No. Well,
I was surprised at the AFC Championship that the Steelers did as poorly as they did. I know Tom Brady is pissed off because of the shit that's happened with Deflategate, and he really has it in for Roger Goodell, but I still thought the Steelers, who have just been known for decades for the Iron Curtain and the different forms that's come in, that they just got stomped. I mean, it was, 36-17, and those last 17 points were like garbage time points.
Yeah, it wasn't a close game. I think it was 33-17 or 21. Regardless, it doesn't matter. The game wasn't near as close as it appeared to be on the final score. I think what it comes down to, Big Ben was nicked up. They haven't disclosed his injuries. Bell went out after the first quarter with a groin pull. He never came back in the game. They were double teaming Antonio Brown, who was live streaming getting his ass whipped. And they don't have any other wide receivers or threats. So I think it's a combination. I felt they would give a bigger game. But looking ahead to the Super Bowl, right now Vegas is calling it that the Patriots are a 3-point favorite, which isn't a big line. Meaning, unless someone gets hurt in practice, that line could easily move, in favor. That's a field goal. Which, subsequently, for fucking Patriots fans out there, that's how you've won most of your goddamn Super Bowls. Not Brady, Adam Vinatieri, and the other fuck kickers that you guys get.
Yeah, I just want to say a big fuck you to all the Patriots kickers because my boy Kurt Warner should have had a second Super Bowl, but thanks to you fuck asses, that didn't happen.
Adam Vinatieri.
I thought Adam Vinatieri played for the Colts.
He does now.
He does now.
He spent years whipping Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts asses and everybody else that got in the Patriots' way. And then, as the Patriots do, they kind of moved on from him, and he went to the Colts, and is still kicking for him, for Christ's sakes, because a kicker can stick around forever. Possibly the best position in the NFL to have. Go out, maybe you play 10 snaps a game, depending if you have a really good offense, and depending on whether you're the kicker, the kickoff return, or just the regular field goal, extra point guy. I mean, I'll do that right there for $200,000 a year. Pay me.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, I get that that's an easy job to do, and I understand there's pressure with it, but there's not that much pressure when you're on a really good team, like like the Patriots or like a high offensive team. Mm-hmm. But you have to remember that the crowd that you're around now, like if you're making 200 G's a year, all those other guys are making, millions, like bukus of money.
Your quarterback's making that a game.
Yeah, and when you're around that crowd, you're in the in-between. I don't even want to say I guess you are in the in-between, of the regular, working men or, your doctors or, people who make $100,000 a year. And then you're in between that and the millionaires. And it's where do you lie? What do you do? You can't...
You're right before handing out water bottles and picking up jock straps, and right after the team fucking mascot. And that's where you lie.
And you can't... you can't go out and ball hard like, Tom Brady would or something. Not that like Gronk. Gronk's a big party boy. You can't go party with Gronk because he'll spend your paycheck, all of it, in one day.
I balled pretty hard this year. I can tell because our federal government and everybody else, including dipping their hands in my pocket, took about $14,000 of my goddamn money. So apparently I'm balling hard as a motherfucker.
But I'm just saying, if you made millions, do you even give a fuck at that point? It's what worry do you have?
Yes, because I got some 265-pound middle linebacker like James Harrison, who's got to be roided up to come back at 39 years old after retiring, trying to cut me in half every time the ball snaps. I should make my money. Keep your goddamn grubby hands off of it. Plus, it's really fucked up that most people don't know this, so I'll throw this out there. Whether it's NBA, NFL, whatever pro sport that you're in, whatever city and state you're playing in, you get taxed that game at that rate. So if you're in New York and you're getting paid, let's say $60,000 a game, that fucking tax might be half of that. It's crazy, the freaking taxes that these guys pay. So not that I'm whining and complaining for fucking pro athletes making millions of dollars, but goddamn, I got a $200 million contract. How much money do you get out of it? 110. So you can understand why these guys are fighting to get their shit.
Okay, I can get that, but then I'm gonna go back to is that you're playing a game, and if you're a true athlete, and you're talking about having a big ass middle linebacker come out and cut you. Fucking cut him back like you're an athlete. That's what you're supposed to do. I ain't letting nobody take me down.
A goddamn hit on nobody.
But Tom Brady can just do what he does and throw the ball or be elusive and evade him, or tell his fucking front line that he probably takes out the dinner every fucking game when he doesn't get sacked. And is all right, boys, here's the deal. I'm going to keep taking you guys out to Olive Garden, give you those free breadsticks. You guys fatten up. You guys keep me alive.
True. So, hey, that's what we got coming up in a couple weeks. Falcons, Patriots, as always at this time of the year. Not only do I look forward to really the last game of the football season, both, all of football, if you will, college and pro, But watching the badass commercials that are usually on there.
That is the best part of the Super Bowl. Some people just watch it like they won't watch a fucking game all year long.
I'll get up and piss during a 3rd and 1 instead of doing it during commercial break because I might miss a really awesome commercial.
Yeah, and you don't want to have to go through YouTube trying to look for all that. Like, that's annoying.
Exactly. I got ESPN. Well, fuck ESPN. But I got Fox Sports so I can pull up and watch, or Bleacher Report or something and watch that touchdown that fucking Brady just threw. So I'm good.
Yeah. The game 2 with the Falcons and the Packers was pretty lopsided as well.
God.
I mean, the Falcons came out just immediately. I think it was in the first quarter. They were 17-0. First quarter just lit up the Packers. Of course, the Packers don't really have a lot of options right now. I mean, they kind of limped their way into the playoffs. Mm-hmm.
But they beat them boys. For all my Dallas Cowboy fans, that butthurt's got to be really stinging right now.
Yeah, honestly, Dallas should probably have been playing against against the Falcons at that point.
That's what inexperience buys you, kids. So
next year is their year, though. I do think.
Yeah. Listen, again, I will reiterate this statement. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, and until this year, there was always next fucking year. It warms my little heart that Dallas hasn't been good up until now since the fucking 90s because they were such a goddamn bandwagon team where everybody, I just remember going to school. I got a few years on you, Evan, and I remember going to school and every fucking kid had the stupid starter, and people who of my era know this, the snapback starter freaking Dallas Cowboy hat. It was white with a big ass blue fucking star in the middle, or the dumbass starter jacket. I fucking hate Dallas because everybody wanted to be Troy Aikman, who's a bum, and everybody wanted to be Emmitt Smith, who would not have the rushing record if it wasn't for his old fucking line. It belongs to Walter Payton. Sweetness. Fuck you. I'm a Bears fan.
So something I can kind of talk about too with that is when I was in elementary school, I remember this vividly. We used to have like the principal would roll out and they would have, and this is at Bengate Elementary School, by the way, for anyone that went to that elementary school back in the day, around early 90s. The principal used to roll out with a mechanical pencil machine, and we used to beg our parents for quarters, and it'd be like 50 cents for a mechanical pencil. But it was always NFL sports teams, and it was a thing to trade them to get, your favorite sports team, and it wasn't like we had the intelligence at the time, like when the lead would run out. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the intelligence just to have our parents go buy lead from Walmart. It was like, we've got to fucking roll the dice and go up to the dispenser and see if we can get our favorite team again.
We got it.
Most of the kids would get, like, I used to get the Rams because I was a big Kurt Warner fan for a long time. Of course, I've always been a Jets fan, but I do have a certain affinity for Kurt Warner. He's just a good guy. Going from nothing to the top, I thought was
bagging groceries.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you're over here at Kroger, saying, thank you, ma'am, have a nice day, to say, I'm going to fucking Disney World. Like, so that was always a big deal to me. But I'd always try to get the Rams. For one day for my dad's birthday, my dad is actually a Dallas Cowboys fan.
God damn, I liked your dad up until now.
Has been for a long time, ever since he's been born, so I get it.
Mr. Wells, I still respect you. You can still kiss my ass, though.
No, but for his birthday one year, I think I spent like $5 trying to get a Dallas Cowboys mechanical pencil, and
that was very sweet of you.
Yeah, and ended up having to trade one. I traded a Patriots one to some bum,
and that makes a lot of sense back in the 90s.
Yep.
So, moving on from football, we're going to jump into a little bit of NBA. And real quickly.
Yes.
Evan's going to have a rant towards the end. I'm going to talk about the absolute destruction, the beatdowns that the Golden State Warriors have been giving everybody, every team they play in the NBA in the last, I would say, about 11 games.
Easily.
They buzzsawed LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers by 36 points, I think is what it was.
Yes.
But he's the greatest player in the NBA right now, and blah, 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 yank on his chain. He got fucked up.
But we've got Kyle Korver now.
Yeah, Kyle Korver, except for KD fucking straight up blocked LeBron like a little girl, like it was bad. And there's nothing funnier than watching Draymond Green give LeBron the Bradshaw Layfield clothesline from hell and drop his punk ass on the ground and let him act for 3 or 4 minutes. They just whooped the Magic tonight by 20. The freaking match prior to that was by 20 plus. I mean, they are. I feel right now, even though we are just getting ready to get in the All-Star break and there's plenty of basketball to play, they are gearing up. They're hitting their stride. They're playing together as a team, and that's real scary when you consider your 1, 2, 3 is Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and motherfucking Klay Thompson. And there's a bunch of other good people on that team.
Yeah, I mean, and then you also have Draymond Green as well, who is a monster. You've got, I mean, Zaza Pachulia is not bad either.
No.
I mean,
no.
And
It's
Sean,
scary.
like Sean Livingston, is good enough to be a starter for a lot of other teams at the point guard position.
Yeah.
Even though he had a bunch of injuries with his knees, maybe Derrick Rose should be looking into that. I know you had one good game against the Wizards, which you lost to recently, but still, like, he needs to go to Sean and just be like, "Hey, bro, like, how do I become good again? I want to be relevant."
So, speaking of the best team in the NBA currently, we're now going to go to our fan favorite and somewhat mediocre, letting us down, Chicago-ass Bulls.
I'm not going to call them mediocre. I'm just going to say they're just being a disappointment right now. And what you've got going on, I think they've split their last 4 games 2-2. I have been impressed. First, big shout out for Jimmy Butler. He got his all-star start. He's going to be the starting scoring guard for the East.
Jimmy Buckets.
Which he definitely deserves. But this team really needs to get its ass in gear because there is a good deal of camaraderie with your younger guys, but it's not gelling so well with some of our new additions, which I'm mostly talking about Rajon Rondo. Rondo is an awesome point guard. He has a lot of issues outside of the basketball court.
Yeah, he's a whiny-ass bitch for the main problem.
Yeah, but if he goes around and if he just did what he did last season and just stuck to doing that, he would be great. Hoiberg in practice has been talking about how Rondo looks like he's slow, he's sluggish, and I kind of believe it. I mean, D. Wade is going out there as old as he is. He still has flashes of his younger days, like getting steals at the last second to end a game. D. Wade, I think, was a good pick for a short term. But the young guys, and I said this exact same thing with Tom Thibodeau, even though with Thibs, we were always in the playoffs every year. Sometimes we even made it to the Eastern Finals. That was a big deal. You have your young guys, like you have Mirotic, Denzel Valentine.
Which they're talking about trading Mirotic
Yes.
and Rondo.
Yes, and I will tell you an interesting stat about Mirotic. So I have seen the rumors where they're talking about trying to trade Rondo and Mirotic. I'm cool with you trading Rondo because I think we just need a point guard that I think we need a young point guard, maybe not MCW, even though he's been in a shooting stump lately. I think he's been shooting like 37%. But,
Michael Carter-Williams is who we're talking about.
Yeah. I think he might be the answer long term, but you need somebody else to kind of show him the reins. I wouldn't want Derrick Rose back just because it's Derrick Rose and he'd get injured. But anyways, back to the stat with Mirotic. When Mirotic, Butler, and McDermott are on the floor, 3 of your younger guys, Jimmy's 27, but he's a veteran. He's in good shape for the team. I think they're like plus 133 as far as like their advantage goes against the team. When they don't have Mirotic on the floor at all, with his 3-point presence, with being a big guy, I think they're minus 250.
Wow.
So Mirotic they need to keep, and some people float back and forth with him because he does have issues. Like he'll get into this mode where he wants to pump fake before he shoots a 3, which he's really dialed back a lot this year. But he's such a big guy. He's that spread 4 that you have that can shoot the 3, and you need that. Like in this day and age, you can't have guys going with their back to the basket, shooting hook shots like you did back in the days of old.
Well, you don't have the big, like, you have big men, but you don't have the big-bodied big men like you did back in the day when you had Shaq and even Timmy Duncan and David Robinson, those guys who were big.
Early Dwight Howard?
Yeah, early Dwight Howard, that they could dominate down low and do those shots because they were so big and physical that they could also catch their own rebounds and dunk it or put up a little bunny shot. Now the big man is taller, leaner, more athletic in a sense.
They're lanky.
Yeah, well, exactly. They're lanky. That's a perfect explanation for their problem.
Yeah, and you have to have. You can't just go up, like I said, have back to the basket and just beat up guys down low and just get buckets that way. It isn't effective anymore. Teams now are built around having your more athletic. Even though you have your bigger 4 and 5 spots, they're still not as big as they used to be. They're looking for the 3. To give you an example, when the Bulls played the Kings last night, they played against DeMarcus Cousins, who's a center. And guess what he was doing?
Chucking up threes.
And making them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, centers aren't supposed to do that.
Dirk Nowitzki back in the day, not anymore, but back in the day for Dallas, always had that touch. A lot of your Europeans do, which is a different kind of big man.
Right, but that's the thing. You have these big guys now that just go out there and, like, they're shooting threes. I mean, Chris Bosh, even though he's power forward, still, like, the 4 spot.
Porzingis from the Knicks, I mean, he's had a little bit of a fall off this year, but I contribute that to Derrick Rose, Carmelo Anthony, and Joakim Noah's busted ass.
Yeah, he's not getting as many touches as he probably should because that kid is nuts. Like, he's going to be a big star. But kind of going back to the Bulls,
big thing.
I think they need to get it together. I think they need to make some sort of trade with Rondo before the trade block is over. Keep Mirotic. You need to have that 3-point presence because there are nights where Mirotic can just go off and win you a game, like when Zach and I went to watch him play the Pacers. Mirotic was hitting threes and was just crushing them. Like, there was nothing you could do.
He was money from wherever he was touching the ball around the arc. It was pretty.
And Jimmy Butler, if you're listening, if anyone knows Jimmy and you happen to stumble upon this podcast, I want you to shave your head because if you do, I swear to God, you will look like a young Michael Jordan, and I feel like the spirit and embodiment of his airness will just flow into you, and you will be the greatest Bulls player ever.
Well, I wouldn't go ever because MJ's ever, but you will be the second coming.
And I mean, you can be. You can be, rest 3 days, move away a stone, and then Jimmy Butler rises from the top. And all of a sudden, the Bulls are number 1 in the East after the All-Star break.
There you go. I like it. So that's our quick down and dirty, I think, in our sports portion.
Well, I do have 2 more things I want to talk about. First one with the All-Star game. Russell Westbrook did not get voted into the West All-Star.
You'll have that.
And Steph Curry got put in his place.
You'll have that.
Like we talked about in the beginning of the show, in our first episode, we don't really do stats all that much. But you have to admit that when the guy has 23 triple-doubles and averages a triple-double this season, and Steph Curry ain't doing that, like, Steph is still good. I'm not saying he's bad. He's a great point guard. But Russell Westbrook is the fucking man right now. He is.
Well, he's the only one on the team that can really score, too. And he's getting the touches. What he's doing is, it hasn't been done since Oscar Robinson. Way, way, way back in the day, where he actually averaged a triple-double for the season.
Yeah.
Now, that's hard to do, folks. That's virtually impossible, especially in the position that Russell Westbrook plays.
As a point guard, people, we're talking...
He's getting 10 rebounds a night. His ass is supposed to be running the other end of the floor and guarding people, and he's doing that too. So the motherfucker's out there hustling. There's no doubt in that. There's no doubt in his heart. I think he took it personal when KD left, and he took the franchise on his back.
Which he should. Like, I give him all the credit in the world. There are things I don't like about him because when KD was there, he took too many game-winning shots that he forced, and he wasn't being as good of a teammate as he could be. But now, I'm growing fond of him because he has that fire and that chip on his shoulder. He wants to be great, and he's doing that. He's having the best season he has ever had, and he is great right now. And you can't fucking vote that guy into the West spot for the point guard.
But here's the one big thing with the voting. It's fan voting, correct?
It's fan and player.
And player. So I think the other problem with that is, especially along the fan side, is Oklahoma is another small market team. It's hard for people to see him. They hear about it. But whenever you see him in the news or in an interview, it's never good. He ain't up there cutting up. He's always like pissed off and disgruntled. Well, not saying that I give a shit. I'm all about friggin', the numbers and how you're playing. I think he should be in the All-Star game. But some people aren't that way. They're like, oh, this guy's a fucking dickhead. Screw him. And that could be part of it. Right now, he's just not approachable, if you will. And that also pays, the same mind to sports writers. Because every time they're in the locker room and he's like, you've seen the memes and the videos where he's like, like, what are you talking about, bro? Taking it back to kindergarten and shit. A great ball player, nonetheless, unapproachable a good bit. Now, he's still in the All-Star game. He's just not a starter. So it's not necessarily a snub in the sense of, well, you didn't even make it to the fucking dance. It's just he wasn't as popular as everybody else. And let's be honest. Does the All-Star game really mean anything? If you made 15 All-Star games in 15 years in your career, hear me out, and never won a championship, does it really mean as much?
The ultimate goal is a championship. No matter what, your stats, anything else, you want to win the big game, go to the big dance, and win. That's what everybody wants. That's why you're there. However, as an athlete, I'm just saying, if it were me, like for men, when you're in that position, like when you're at work, or if you are, if you're an athlete, football, hockey, soccer, MMA, whatever, you want to be the best. And when you go out and do your work, like every little bit stings, like, and you have to have that fire about you. Like, this is only going to make Russell Westbrook better because now he's not being recognized for what he's doing. And I hope he does. I hope he fucking, after the All-Star game, I hope he lights everybody on fire and just solidifies that triple-double for the season, because I want him to shove that ball down everybody's fucking throat for not recognizing how great he's been this year. But it goes back again, like when you're an athlete, when you're in this position, money's not an issue anymore. It's pride. Pride is something it's okay to have. It's okay to feel good about yourself. It's okay to work hard. And it would make me mad, and he is mad. He's stated that he's upset that he's not a starter over Steph Curry, which he should be. But it stings. I know it doesn't matter, like, long-term, like, OKC needs to win a championship. And I hope they do because of how good Westbrook is doing. But it still doesn't sting any less when it's like, here I am being the best point guard in the NBA, probably the best player in the NBA right now as far as what he's doing statistically. And nobody's even batting an eye. Like, they talk about on ESPN and Fox Sports, but it's obvious, like, the people don't care. Like, what the fuck is the point?
Agreed. It's difficult, but you always have those controversies, right? It doesn't matter what sports you get into, whatever it is. There's always a portion that becomes somewhat, someone gets snubbed, and then,
Well, it's like
sports media just makes it bigger than what it is sometimes.
Right, and it's to transfer into my other topic that I had, my last one on the NBA, is that you have fuckheads like LeBron James that get hit, but not that hard, from Draymond Green when they played against the Golden State Warriors, and for at least 4 to 6 minutes just babies himself and is sitting there laying on the ground crying, acting like he's hurt so bad.
And then jumps up and plays the rest of the game with no medical issues
at
all.
Like, here's the deal. Like, LeBron James is a big fucking dude. Like, the dude's a solid 230 pounds. Just because Draymond Green comes out and just taps him on the shoulder or just gets a little rough with him and knocks him down, you don't have to fucking flop backwards and lay on the court and just sit there with your arm over your eyes, agonizing pain, like rubbing your beard while they look over the replay, acting hurt, squinching your eyes.
Trust me, that's not the first beer that Braun's rubbed.
I'm sure, but it's just, I mean, he's a baby. Like if he wants to be the man and wants to be the face of the NBA and the new greatest player ever, if you will, you're teaching kids that play the game that are LeBron fans, that is okay to
be a pussy.
To be a pussy, to go out and flop. And
have you seen the rest of society today? That's what it's going to, bud. Everybody's just a big old fucking puss, and their feelings are hurt.
Remember, we can't get too political. But,
I'm just stating facts.
But yeah, it's like you want to go out there and get hurt and act beat up, but seriously, like LeBron was a football player from Ohio.
Yeah, he come from a Midwest school and from not a small school, even though it was a Catholic school, which is really weird. But sure enough, he's a big kid, big dude, and maintains that size year round, which is also weird. Hint, hint. I
don't think he's on steroids. I think.
I think it's. Listen, what's the one sport that you never? I'm talking never hear about anyone getting popped for performance-enhancing drugs. That's NBA basketball. Those guys play an average, the average quarter is 12 minutes or 15?
12.
So 12. So they're playing just shy, 12 minutes shy of an hour a night, okay? 83 games a year plus the finals. He's been in the finals year in and year out for the last decade. He's bigger than he's ever been. He looks like he's cut from granite. Brother, as me and you sit here today knowing that, working out and lifting and eating right, he's on the road traveling up and down. It ain't like he's got a fucking personal chef. Just saying, it's a little hinky. It's a little funky, and I think it's more than one guy. And plus, you just had, who was it? The former coach for the Sacramento Kings, George Karl. There we go. He come out and said, listen, there's a lot of NBA players doing freaking steroids and, performance-enhancing drugs. I don't think they get tested for it like MLB players do and, definitely like NFL players do. Nonetheless, he needs to quit being a little girl.
Yeah, he's still a big guy either way. You shouldn't be acting like that. I mean, it's not that bad.
True.
If I were that size, if I had gotten hit, I just would have. I probably would have flopped to the ground. If I were his size and Draymond had bumped against me, I probably would have stopped and looked at him and been like, "You want to play this game again?"
Yeah, I'd have went chest to chest with him.
Yeah.
So, jumping off of the NBA and getting away from the NFL, I'm going to touch real briefly at my disappointment in one Chael Sonnen last night at Bellator 170 when he was taking on Tito Ortiz in his final fight. Tito finally retired after 20-plus years in the MMA fight game, which he's already a UFC Hall of Famer and will go down as really trying to grow the brand of the sport and do a lot of things that Tito did, love him or hate him. The Huntington Beach bad boy was a good fighter back in the day. But he ends up submitting Chael Sonnen with a rear naked choke. I saw it. It was a half-ass headlock in round 2, and Sonnen tapped. I mean, when I'm talking garbage time, brother, my 4-year-old has put me in stronger headlocks than friggin' Tito had him in. It was pathetic. Shame on you, Chael Sonnen. Not that you wouldn't have won the fight or anything else. The outcome was probably already set in place. But for you to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a practitioner and to tap out to a half-ass headlock, I felt it was a give me. It was a what's the best way? It was fixed, and to a point. I think Chael made his payday, and Tito got to roll out into the sunset as winning the last 4 out of 5 fights that he's been in, which has been against a bunch of washed-up dudes, nonetheless. Now, we're going to touch upon what this podcast is truly about, and that is pro wrestling. We've been sitting here with the current format that the WWE has had with pay-per-views, every, 2 weeks it was going for a while?
Yeah.
Last 6 months. now the Royal Rumble is taking, it seems like it's forever. Me and Evan, every time we're working out, we're like, hey, isn't the Rumble this week? We're like, no, it's 2 weeks away. No, it's a week away. No, it's like, it feels like it's taken forever to get to. And next weekend, it is finally here where we get to see a multitude of matches from both SmackDown and Raw. There's some interesting stuff that's going on, I feel like. One, it's always the special appearances of who's going to pop up in the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. I'm personally hoping to see Kenny Omega. I'm hoping to see maybe a wrestler or two from yesteryear. We have Goldberg that's going to be in there. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with him and how they're going to play that out, because rumors are that he's going to continue into Fastlane, into some of the other pay-per-views. So it doesn't look like Goldberg's going anywhere in the near future. He's going to be on WWE product, not on a weekly basis, but on your pay-per-views, which I'm okay with.
He's going to be a staple in your storylines for Raw.
Brock come back this week.
Yeah, Brock came back in a big way this week.
It just fucked up everybody. I mean, it was just hosing people, and then Braun Strowman was dumb enough to think he was going to get in the ring. I mean, it was pretty nasty, which is the kind of beast incarnate that I like to see, because to be quite honest, I'm a Paul Heyman kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see who they're going to have at the Rumble. I really think you're going to have either Kenny Omega, Shinsuke Nakamura, or Samoa Joe. Out of those three, I think that's a very solid possibility as a surprise at the Rumble.
I think watching the last few weeks of Next, where Joe has not really been predominantly on there, that it's going to be him. I watched this past week. Next was not a strong show. I'll get into that more in a minute. But Joe was barely even mentioned. I don't even know if he was on there.
He wasn't on there at all.
I know he didn't make a physical appearance, but I don't even know if they even said his name. So I think he'll be at the Rumble. Shinsuke's going to be on Next. I would like to think they might let him come up just as some crazy, participant in the Rumble and give it an added flair while you're watching it, to think that, oh man, if the next champion wins it, he has a possibility of holding both belts, which would be neat in one aspect and pretty freaking lame in another.
I don't like the idea of having a next belt and the WWE title. I don't like that. It seems weird.
Who's going to come back from yesteryear? They always have one or two, so it'll be interesting to see in that aspect of it.
I mean, you've got Undertaker applied for that, or he put in for that, didn't he?
Yeah, Undertaker's going to be in there. He's already straight up said he's dug 29 holes for 29 souls, and that WrestleMania will no longer define him. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of dead man we get come Royal Rumble. He's been in a ton of them, in what they do with him. I kind of see this, and this is me personally. If we get down to, we'll say the final 8, I think you're going to see Finn Balor. I think he'll make his return at Royal Rumble.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
I think you'll see possibly Kenny Omega. He'll be in the top 8. You'll see Goldberg and Roman Reigns. That's a given with the way they're pushing them. Lesnar's going to be there, so there's 5 out of your 8. And then you kind of have the other 3. I think Samoa Joe could be standing around, still in it. And then you're left with your 2. I think out of gratitude, if you will, in such a long career, that Undertaker would be one of them. And then there's kind of like that 8th spot of who might it be? Is it going to be someone who you expect to be there in the sense of, well, hell, I don't even know who else is in it. I mean, there's a ton of people. I don't think it's all been put out there yet. But it's wide open. That's my own personal opinion. That's kind of what I'd like to see. They're not going to let someone like Finn win it or Kenny win it. If they are there, that'll just be their debut and to make it iconic as hell. Braun Strowman would probably be the 8th man, just to make him look like a dominant monster since they've been pushing him so hard.
You don't think anyone from the Wyatt family will be in it?
Well, it's a toss-up. I mean, you could split it 50-50, you know, having a little bit more SmackDown guys, a little bit more Raw guys. You know, that's the problem when you're dealing with a co-main event or a co-event, you know, a 30-man battle royal between two separate entities that are all the same in you know, initially. So, who's going to win it? I really don't know yet. I don't think they've really alluded to who's going to take it, you know.
Well, they usually don't. I just hope they don't do what they did last year, where they have some lame gimmick where Triple H showed up as the last man and took the title. That was kind of lame. Wasn't really into that. I don't foresee. Because the thing is too is you have to look at that the Royal Rumble match goes between two different titles. Like whichever one wins from that brand gets to challenge for that title. I feel like I feel like a Raw superstar is going to do it, because I think at the Elimination Chamber, which I think is 2 weeks after the Royal Rumble for SmackDown, I know AJ's going to be defending the title there. I think that you'll have something with that.
So, speaking of which, you have pretty much a three-way going on. I don't think have they officially made it a three-way between Corbin, Cena, and AJ at the Rumble. Because that's an individual match. They're not in the Rumble itself. I believe it's a standalone match regardless. John Cena's come back.
At the Rumble, it's just going to be a singles match between Cena and AJ Styles.
Okay, so even better. So I'm going to tell you right now, AJ Styles is going to come out on top of that. They're not going to give Cena the belt to make him a 16-time champion at the Rumble. I think they would hold that honor for WrestleMania, and as much as I just don't want to see it, it's like Undertaker's streak that should have never been broken. No one has ever come close. I mean, Triple H is at like 13, I think. But again, you know, he's out of the game. John Cena is literally out of the game. He's here right now, but he's trying to do what The Rock's done. He should not hold the record. 15 times is impressive enough in the same company. He's been around for, I think, 13 years.
And it goes back to being a part-timer.
Exactly.
I don't want part-timers to have the titles, because all that means is that they're going to get the title, and then shortly afterwards, because they're part-time, it's just going to switch hands either back to the previous championship or previous champion or to someone else. And you look at that, and it's like, okay, they just gave the title to Cena just to give him a notch in the record books, and then they just gave it back to AJ real quick. Now AJ's a 2-time champion all of a sudden. It diminishes that for me. It's not, doesn't feel like you earned it. It's just like, well, we're going to give it to Cena, then give it right back to AJ, and now they both have upped their status.
Yep.
It's kind of lame. You've already got Cena, who is considered one of the best champions, not the best, that is held for Ric Flair for 16-time champion. You just don't, it's kind of like we've talked about before, part-timers, they can be in main events, but they should not be as big as your current superstars, the guys like Dean Ambrose, who hasn't missed a show in fucking 4 years. There are a lot of guys that miss shows due to the injury and they don't take care of their body. And even though I'm not sold on Dean Ambrose's gimmick all the time,
oh god,
I do like to see him around because he does put in hard work. So it's nice to have those guys of old or part-timers come in and make appearances or have a match with another part-timer, just a little sprinkle in here and there, but they should not be. In John Cena's situation, they shouldn't be holding the title. I really don't even think Goldberg, unless he's going to show up more on Raw, I don't think he should have a title.
It's a good gimmick. It's a good way to put asses in the seats and eyes on the pay-per-view on the network, but I agree with you. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, like you can settle old grudges or you can start new grudges that don't have, like say if you don't have a storyline really going on for Kevin Owens, which they've got a bunch going on with him right now, you could have him fight Goldberg if they didn't have anything already going on with everybody else. So you can do that.
I'm going to tell you right now, personally speaking, they have to start doing something with Kevin Owens. Like, they've got to move that along. I feel like it's becoming very stale and stagnant with the continuance of the Jericho best friend, and now Jericho's the co-U.S. champion with Roman Reigns.
Well, that's the only champion. See, that's the thing I don't like, too, is that Jericho's never been U.S. champ until that happened.
Yeah.
Now he's had every belt. And I feel like that was just a notch to Jericho, just for him being around so long, just to give it to him.
And the guy can still perform. I mean, he's not a young man by any means.
Well, he just signed a new deal with the WWE recently. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And a great performer, an outstanding heel, and still has it by leaps and bounds. And I think a lot of the younger heels and younger guys in the business, period, regardless if you're a face or not, has a lot to learn from Chris. Because I remember the guy wrestling cruiserweights 20 years ago, putting Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko in the lion tamer, bending them into a U shape, which he doesn't even do now. He used to literally sit back on that motherfucker and make it a dude's butt touch his head, trying to break guys in half, and being the man of 1,001 holds, which was a knock against Dean Malenko's gimmick of a man of 1,000 holds. I mean, he was classic. He was comedy gold, and he's been around the Attitude Era, and so on and so forth. So I can understand, again, giving him that pat on the back, if you will, that he's had everything, and as he should. He's been a great performer and somewhat, I would say, a good company man coming from WCW into the WWE and getting as big of a push as they gave him. The amount that they gave him, really. He was the first undisputed champion, to hold both belts, things of that nature. So Chris is awesome. He drives me nuts, his gimmicks, but that's what I want out of a heel. I want to fucking hate you. I want you to come on air and you talk, and I go, God, I wish someone would punch him in the head. That's what should happen. Back in the day, even though I love Ric Flair now, I used to despise that man. I was like, Sting, please just drop him on his head with a Scorpion Death Drop. Just shut him the fuck up. He won't quit talking. Woo! That's all the goddamn guy did. But it was great. So, I don't know. We'll see. I loved that last year the WWE putting the belts on Kevin Owens and AJ Styles and originally Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a very classy and a very smart move. But when that happened, I think they went back to the same old type writing and horse shit. And we got to step away from that. If you want to continue to grow the brand, and I don't mean Attitude Era stuff, that's never going to happen again, at least not in the near future.
You can't.
The time's not right for it.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And the way, and again, we're not trying to be political, but the way like society is, you can't have the Attitude Era like you had. Like if you did that now, honestly, like SmackDown and Raw would lose ratings because it would be deemed as too inappropriate. Even though sometimes like the New Day, they
gyrating their hips. I saw literally an FCC violation and people complaining because they're out there dancing, gyrating.
Yeah, and the New Day every once in a while, like when they do the Who, where they're like, "Who are we? Who?" They're making fun of the racist Black Crows from a Disney movie. I can't even think what movie it is now.
It doesn't matter. It's just, if you know your Disney stuff,
you'll know exactly what we're talking about. You'll be like, fuck, or it'll be a Mandela effect, and it'll be like that Shazam shit that's going on where apparently
where Sinbad was Shazam, which was actually a Shaq movie, and let me tell you, if they ever missed an Emmy or a Golden Globe, they missed on that movie with Shaq acting as a goddamn genie. Because let me tell you, folks, comedy genius.
But getting back to the WWE though, you just, I don't even know. You have to.
I don't know. Spit it out, son.
I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Hey, in other words, this beer's not near as bad as it's gotten warmer, which is really weird. I'm on my second one. I gave it another shot. I don't mind it. It's still very blood orangey, but I got a little bit more IPA to it, which for our fans out there, surprisingly, with it being a double, I expected it to be stronger on the IPA portion, and it isn't. It's actually pretty mellow with that. But you gotta like blood oranges. So I don't know if
I've never had a blood orange.
Well, if it tastes like this, I don't fucking want to. Like, as a regular fruit to sit down and be like, this will be refreshing.
Yeah, I remember my thought now.
Oh, well, that's good.
Sorry, it took a minute. I had to take a little bit more of this beer. It's the vitamin C in the blood orange kind of regenerates my memory. So, kind of back to my point, is that you can't have in today's society to where you have those jokes like what the New Day does where you kind of push the envelope and you can be a little racy or you can cuss more or you can have more violent promos. You can't do that anymore. People will frown upon it. They're not into it. I would be into it. I think most wrestling fans would be, but when people go back and they look at it, like you can't go without offending somebody with it. So,
and by God, that's not what we're about in this offensing. I wish we could offend some people, put them out the pasture, offend them, because everybody has an opinion and most of them fucking suck. So
there really is a hole in this, I swear.
Why don't you... Evan has had a problem twice now with pouring this fucking beer into the pint glass.
We're good
where
now.
He's poured it all over the table because the dumb son of a bitch can't find the open portion of it and has literally poured it to the side of the can twice. I will say this. They are funky cans because they have like this ribbed edge on top.
Yeah, that's what's throwing me off as I go to pour it.
Which I think it makes it kind of a sexual device too because it's ribbed for your pleasure. And it's just at the very top of the head.
And it's got vitamin C, so it keeps you going.
I thank you. But getting away from the Rumble, still talking wrestling. I'm a little bit pissed off at YouTube because I really wanted to talk about Lucha Underground today. Couldn't get anything of quality up there. I was having issues with the internet. Y'all have to forgive me there. I'm going to try to start reviewing that stuff and maybe Ring of Honor a little bit more because I have what's called the Fight TV app, which I heard from JR's podcast. Good old JR, Jim Ross. By God, that man's got a family. But I looked it up, and they have like the weekly episodes from ROH on there. So I'm going to try to watch them occasionally just for a little bit different flavor to talk on the podcast. But I watched Next this week, In Depth.
And
it's an hour-long show, which we've talked about in the past with SmackDown and Raw. I think the 2-hour time frame is perfect. Me and Evan both agree 3 hours for Raw is just too much. It's not even that it's too much, they just don't fill it the right way. But
I'm not complained with they don't fill it the right way because it's a 3-hour show and I get it. But that's my problem is that it's 3 hours. Like, I don't have time to sit down and watch it all the way all the time.
Right.
I just can't.
Yeah.
With the hours that we work, and of course, that's a personal thing. There are people that work a 9-to-5 job that, make bukus of money and they can, go home and watch Raw and, get up the next day and be fine. But we don't always have that time. And even those people, too, if you've got families, things like that, like I'm a single guy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't have time to watch Raw.
Yeah. You're talking 5 hours of wrestling in between two shows, not talking about 205 Live, Next, and anything else you're trying to take in. So there's an abundance of material, but I just think Raw is too long. Though, again, speaking on Next, it's an hour-long show, which I really like that time frame to a point because they get in, get out. They give you kind of the meat and potatoes of what you want to see and what you want to hear, trying to advance that storyline. The matches aren't overly long. It's the young kids working on their craft, and sometimes you get just A+ matches, and other times you get straight-up dog crap. Or, for my buddy Mikey Mayhem, if you're listening to this, it's straight garbage. I know you like that, Mikey. If you all haven't heard of him before, go check out the Credence and Bishop show. Last time I checked, it was on Planet Platypus. Platypus.com, yeah. It's where their podcast and radio show is. He is a long-standing friend and a wrestling entrepreneur, if you will. A collector of all things wrestling. And me and him, before me and Evan got together, Me and Mikey used to sit around and watch the pay-per-views and just talk shop when it come to, the WWE. So, Mikey Mayhem, this is your shout out. But watching Next this week, the one thing that drove me nuts, I saw Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. It's the two Australian females that they're trying to put as the big heels against Asuka. And they did this whole angle where they attacked her outside of the stadium and she was walking through, and it was just the drizzling shits. I mean, I've never seen anyone throw such horrible kicks and punches as I did those two ladies. And Asuka was doing her best to sell it, but it was fucking heinous. And it's like, okay, like, cut, redo it, because it was ugly. One, I'm not knocking these two girls. They haven't been in it that long. They're trying. They're working. They're working their way up, but they're not at the level that Asuka is, and it really, really shows. Mm-hmm. Like when they're in the ring, it's like elite level wrestler. I've been doing this for 2 years, and then important to me, it's like, well, that's unfair. Like I know you got to do it. You have to do it to kind of further them and teach them and learn. But it's like, damn, this is horrible. And I think that's the women's division right now down in Next. It's minus Asuka. It's pretty soft. You have, who is it? Liv, freaking, I don't even know what her name is. Like,
you've got the what's the girl that we were
she
talking
looks like
about?
a porn star.
We were talking about her promo that she had.
Oh God, man, that's who. Oh, Amber Moon.
Yes, for talking about getting eclipsed.
Yeah, it was just Liv Morgan. Yeah. She reminds me of Jessie Jane, the porn star that was in the Pirates movies. Check that out, and that's her doppelganger. But like her promos are horrible. The Amber Moon chick, she has such a unique look because she's African American. She's wearing these bright red contacts to make her look somewhat demonic. She's got her hair in like with blonde highlights. In this almost body armor, like gladiator body armor type outfit. And she did a promo this week on Next, and it was just like she was hanging out with the girls, like talking like, no, I'm gonna fight you, bitch. Like, I wanted something, as I told Evan, we were working out, I was like, I wanted something dark and visceral and like, you step in the ring with me and I'm gonna end you type shit. And instead it was like, no, it's okay. We're just gonna fight it out. Disappointing.
Yeah, her character to me is supposed to be more dark and decadent than what it is, and she does not portray that well. Of course, I know she's still pretty new.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's that hard to be dark or to be a heel.
Mm-mm.
Like I feel being a heel is easier in like the wrestling world than it is to be a face. Like in a face, you kind of have to,
you have to sell getting your ass kicked a lot.
Yeah, like you have to sell being like for the Dragon Ball Z fans out there, you have to be like the Goku that like gets his ass kicked and comes back stronger than ever kind of deal, or like any action movie these days. That's kind of what happens. That's your basic plot. Guy gets beat up, guy gets better, guy fucks up bad guys.
Yeah.
Except for John Wick. John Wick just walks out and
kills everybody. Yeah. What a great! I cannot wait until I think it's February 10th.
Yes, February 10th.
Listen, if you haven't seen the first one, go out. It's like $8 or $9. I'm sure you can find it. It's one of Keanu Reeves' at least most badass movies that he's ever done.
It's one of his better movies. I mean, it's the only movie I've watched with him in it that I've enjoyed other than the Matrix trilogy.
I'll go
and Bill and Ted.
No, I'm gonna go way back, and I'm gonna say Point Break with Patrick Swayze was epic and an all-time favorite.
I don't know if I've seen Point Break.
Oh Jesus, dude! Point Break was literally this. It was a movie about these guys who were robbing banks. It's Patrick Swayze and his group of robbers, thugs, whatever, and they would rob banks with presidents' masks on. They had Reagan and Clinton and whatever and so forth, but they were all big time surfers. And so, like, he infiltrates he infiltrates the gang, and turns out to be an undercover cop, and the way it ends is this gigantic monsoon tsunami's coming in. and there's going to be this epic wave, and he lets Swayze go out and catch it, and proverbially dies. Awesome movie. You know, your typical late 80s, early 90s, you know, action flick type shit.
You know, another movie, since we're talking about old movies, that kind of goes along those lines. There was a movie that had Sylvester Stallone in it, and he's a detective. Is it called Cobra?
Oh yeah, Cobra.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's his last name's Cobretti. I can't think of his first name. It's real girly, but he goes by Cobra. And in the opening of the movie, you know, there's this guy, and he's the New World Order man, and he's in this freaking grocery store just shooting the fucking place up. And Cobretti shows up, and of course he's got, you know, an old school 1911 that he's carrying, and he's rocking some badass aviators and some leather gloves and just ball tight fucking blue jeans. And the guy's like, you know, like shooting at him, and like the way the opening scene ends, he's using the mirror that you see down the aisles, right, where they try to catch people stealing, and he pulls out this freaking fixed blade, or no, it was a folding knife, and he, you know, he locks it out, and some bitch is like 9 inches long, and he throws it and hits the guy in the chest, and then pulls out his 1911 and just blows the fucker away. And you know, they're interviewing him and like, did you have to kill him? And he grabs the goddamn reporter and rips him over to the freaking, you know, the gurney, and was like, you see that? You know, you tell that kid's family. Like, it was epic. It was an epic movie. I loved it. And it was 1980s. Just in a fucking nutshell right there, dude.
It's a movie that I really want to watch again. My dad's a big Sylvester Stallone buff. If you guys can't tell by now, like, my dad and I are like this. I'm crossing my fingers together. We're bros. But my dad always watched these old 80s movies. You know, he's a big Rambo fan. I've seen every Rocky, including 5, even though my family and I have both agreed that Rocky 5 doesn't really exist.
If he dies, he dies.
Exactly. That's Rocky 4. Little Ivan Drago for you. But I love watching those old action flicks because it just has a place in my heart. I love big explosions. I also like the badass attitude that people just don't have anymore. So I think it's neat to go back and see how things were done in movies now versus how they are today, or versus how they were in the past, how they are done today. Excuse me.
Answer me that question. We're going to switch back here. How the fuck did the WWE never get Sylvester Stallone in the ring? Like, they had Mr. T. They've had countless other people make, like, how did, even now, even though, you know, he's Mr. HGH friggin' human roids, he's like literally a ginormous steroid walking around. How did you not get him in there to at least like throw a punch or deliver a rock bottom or a fucking something? Because
I feel like he could have had a entrance in WrestleMania, kind of like they do every year, where they have Shaq has been in fucking WrestleMania so many times.
I mean, Triple H has paid homage to Schwarzenegger a billion times. You know, coming out with the old Terminator movie, you know, sequences and stuff like that, and the whole Conan the Barbarian type deal. You know, it's like, how did they miss on Stallone? Like, or maybe they pursued him and we just don't know.
He could have had a boxing match with.
Epic.
I mean, who could he had a match with in the 80s?
Here, I'll speak from the archives here. So any of the fans listening, back in the day, and we're talking early 90s, they had this show when FX was first starting, and I'm trying to think of what it was called. Literally, it was pretty much, they went to a bar room. Tough Man is what it was, I think it was called. And it was boxing. It was just friggin' boxing. Where they would get, you know, all it was a bunch of drunks freaking brawling pretty much. Well, they did something like that in the WWE in the early 90s. And Bart Gunn, who was the tag partner of Badass Billy Gunn at the time, they were the Smoking Guns. They come out as cowboys and they had pistols and they twirled them around and shot them in the air. You know, it was the little cat gun type deals. But he ended up winning the whole like tough man boxing competition. That would have been prime time to have Stallone come in for like a one-off match. And they were legitimately boxing too. Like, they were beating the piss out of one another. How did WWE miss that? I mean, it's just blatantly obvious.
Now, like, he's inducted, of course, I was just reading this real quick. Of course, Thunder Lips in Rocky 3 is Hulk Hogan. And
But I don't even think he was in the WWE at that time. I think he was in the
it was
AWA.
it was right before
Yeah,
he got into the WWE. And I think that's kind of what jostled his career a little bit. But he also, Rocky inducted Hulk Hogan into the Hall of Fame. I think it was in 2015, I believe. If I remember correctly. You guys can double check me on that.
Well, we know it wasn't the beginning of 2016 because that's when the old sex tape and black people comments come out that weren't all fond on the old Hulkster.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, brother. Apparently, he's not real fond of the African American gender or species or people. Or he said some really horrible, harsh shit that probably shouldn't have been uttered, even though he was being videotaped and didn't know it. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, when that happens, there's nothing you can do.
Hey, when you're doing another guy's wife, you might want to keep quiet on the old racial comments.
Or just not do another guy's wife. I mean,
He knew. That's what's worse and weird about it.
yeah.
And the fact, I'll throw this in there, he even said in court that Hulk Hogan doesn't have a 10-inch penis, but Terry Bolla does. Now that's dedication to the character, folks. All I'm saying is when you're like, no, see, my wrestling persona doesn't have that big of a dick, but I do. What?
I'm proud of him for that. That's gold.
Speaking of which, I saw this friggin' video on Facebook the other day, and it's some dude in India or something. He has a 19-inch dong and refuses to get a reduction.
You need to stop right there because I don't want our viewers.
Dude, he's got this
wondering-
thing wrapped up in socks, and when literally I'm talking, he's wearing sweatpants, and this some bitch is just he must have bruised kneecaps every day. Because it's ridiculous. It looks like a 3-foot-long summer sausage.
Why are you looking up people's dicks on Facebook, Zach?
I wasn't looking. It just strolled across there, and I was like, "What is this? Oh Jesus!
Listen,
this man."
I need to share something.
Literally, Sir Mix-a-Lot's movie got back popped in my head, and it's like, my anaconda don't want none, and they're like, they were talking about this guy right here. Like, he can't even get an erection because he'll fucking die. I think.
I want you to understand something. How's that possible to not? Anyways, so when those things scroll across your Facebook stack, those things pop up for a reason. It's because there's adware on your phones. So thus, I want to know, what are you looking up on your phone that's made that come up?
Only the finest grade A porn that a man can find. It's on Facebook, for Christ's sakes. No one looks at porn on Facebook. You do that on Pornhub.com, for Christ's sakes. That shit's free. I don't know personally.
I don't know what website you're talking about.
I'm a good upstanding Boy Scout.
I go to church every Sunday. I do not look at that smut.
The Church of the Iron Cross, maybe.
That's right. Monday through Friday, got to get those gains.
Yeah. Damn, my jaw hurts from laughing. That's good
Your
shit.
Your jaw
right
hurts. Quit.
Well,
Jesus.
Waka waka. So, speaking again, next was subpar. It has been the last few weeks. They're kind of hurting, I think, in certain areas. The tag team division is super strong on next, but they're hurting in other places because they've had, talent promoted, which that's going to be the case with watching that show. It's the minors. You're watching them learn their craft and grow up. I'm good with that. Did you see 205 Live this week?
Saw bits and pieces. I didn't really keep up with it all that much, to be quite honest. The main thing I took away from it was that they just did a big setup for Rick Schwann.
Rick Schwann
And Neville at the Royal Rumble. They're going to have a title match for the Cruiserweight Championship.
I think they gotta put it on Neville.
Neville's totally gonna get it.
Dude, he's playing such a good heel.
You'll have a heel in every show as your champ if that happens. As like your heavyweight champs, if you will.
I mean, yeah, AJ is, but he's kind of like
he's not.
He's the go-between. Like, he's not like super dirty. Like, he's trying to beat you out right now. Like KO's cheating.
For the nerds out there, I would say AJ Styles is a neutral evil.
Yes,
so,
yes.
There you go, a little D&D for you to show you how much of a nerd I am. Just show that we reach out to all audiences here.
True. Hey, you know what? I'm going to jump completely off of wrestling real quick.
Go for it. We already did earlier.
Yes,
Since
and it
you're
was
talking
hilarious.
about 19-inch penises. Jesus
Good old
Christ.
19-inch dong. Right
I still want to know like what porn category you've gone to that makes that come up.
It wasn't that one, I promise. But catching up, brand new show this week I'm going to talk about was Taboo. It was on FX. It debuted, I think, Tuesday night, and it has Tom Hardy in it, which what makes that incredible is he's a movie star, not really a
He's not
weekly
he's
television episodic show.
He's not like Stephen Amell or
Yeah.
guys.
You know, I mean, we're talking about Bane here, for Christ's sakes. He's played in some big roles and made some big money. So what I got from the
I
gist...
totally forgot he was Bane.
Oh, fuck yeah, he was.
Oh, man.
And he's a monster in this movie, too. Or in this show. Like, he's big as
Does
fuck.
he wear the Bane mask? Like
No,
okay.
not so much. He wears this badass old school, like, boulder hat. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the
Yes.
round English... the derby hats. That's what I'm
Yes.
getting at. So it's set up, like, right during the revolution between America and England, and the show's very dark. It's graphic. In the first episode, like, I want to watch another episode or two. It didn't hook me in yet. I think it left a lot of questions to be answered, and that's why I want to continue to watch it to see, because I feel it almost deals with the supernatural and things of that nature. Because initially, like, the background of the guy is he was into military academy with, you know, the English army and everything, and left that because he was a hellraiser and was sunk at sea off the coast of Africa on a slave ship. And then no one had heard from him in years. His father passes away, and then he just shows the fuck up.
That happened to me once.
Well, that's good. And we've got a lot of questions to ask after this podcast goes off air. What were you doing on a slave ship? What were you doing off the coast of Africa?
Well, I am going to the Philippines soon, so...
Word. So, interesting show. Something to look into. Might catch your fancy, might not. Right at the moment, I'm kind of like, if I was Caesar, I ain't giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm still holding that thumb right in the middle. You know, the next week or two will really...
when you find out next week about how you feel about it, you should let us know. But since you've brought up the Caesar thumbs up or thumbs down deal, it always reminds me, and I recommend this show to anybody. If you want to watch something, it's geared towards men. I mean, I'll be honest. You ever seen the show Spartacus before?
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched, like, all the seasons?
No, I have not. I think I've watched the first 2 seasons, and after the main character went away due to cancer, which he eventually passed away from, I no longer watched it. I actually have them all, I believe, on my hard drive.
So you need to, and anyone that's listening to podcasts as well, since we're talking about movies and TV shows, you need to do yourself a favor if you have not seen this show. It's called Spartacus. It is about a
Gladiator.
It's a gladiator. It's a Thracian who gets named Spartacus, and he has these premonitions of things to come, like people's deaths and the like.
A lot of sex.
There's a ton of like sex
Both
scenes.
straight and gay.
Yeah, I mean you'll see it all if you're into that kind of thing. Like you'll see all of it. The action scenes are great in it. I can't think of the actor's name, but it's the guy that plays Crixus is also the guy who plays Deathstroke and Arrow. Can't think of the man's name, but he's super popular right now. If you watch the prequel and the second season of that show, it kind of focuses on Crixus a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
It's an excellent show to watch. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of sex in it. There's a lot of powerful themes that go on. It's a great show to watch. I think every guy should watch it. It's good. You can learn a lot from it.
Nice. So there you go. You get young Master Evans' ringing endorsement for a show that's been out for a bit. I don't think it's no longer on air, right? They finished it up.
I think they finished it. I haven't watched it in a while because after I watched the second season, Because they did replace Whitaker, who was the guy who
Yeah.
died of cancer. And the guy that took his place did a really good job, I thought. But after he got replaced, they did a season with him, and I don't know if they've expanded to a third season.
That being it, I'll throw this out here to the fans and followers. Everybody knows about your Game of Thrones and your Walking Dead, which I do not watch Walking Dead. I think it's a shit, drizzle and shits.
Well, that's because you're very hard on the comic book of it. People who just watch, if it weren't a comic book and had just a show,
And I knew nothing about it.
it would be awesome.
There would be different. Well, that and the gun aspect of it, and the
Everything,
thought,
everything is a headshot.
yeah, and the survival aspect of it is complete shit. But nonetheless, if there's some shows that we've never mentioned, hit us up with some of your favorite stuff. Maybe it's something that's more local to your area. Maybe it's something you found on Amazon or Hulu or whatever. I know Evan pretty much has everything. I'm more of a Netflix, and then I have what's called PlayStation View, which just gives me kind of the local channels and some specialty channels.
If you mention a movie or TV show, I will find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do not worry about that.
We'll check it out. Same thing with the beer. Evan, after you've sipped on it a little bit longer, I can say I could continue drinking it.
Let me take another swig so I can give you a play-by-play of what goes through my mouth.
And
it's not an 18-inch penis, Zach.
19.
I'm sorry, 19.
Hey, you got to give the man his inch. Because he's going to give it to you.
All right, so when I get to the second beer, I don't know if because I have that little bit of a buzz now, but it tastes more just like a normal IPA.
Yeah,
I like the
it's
citrus
mellowed
aftertaste to it. It's still, the aftertaste is like an orange. Like
Yeah.
it feels like I've taken a ripe orange and squeezed it out, and it's set out for about 30 minutes, and then I drink it. But it's not bad. It's just this very orangey flavor at the end. I can't even tell you the last time I actually had legitimate orange juice, but
Well,
that's
I'm going to say 2 days ago because my wife's pregnant and she gets weird cravings for things. OJ. And not whether or not he killed his wife, but the actual juice drink.
Oh man, we can't talk about that.
That's a series too. It's a big one right
It is a
now.
series.
Yeah, they're doing some crazy shit. Nonetheless.
Why are they still? Never mind.
Yeah,
I don't
because-
want to get into that.
Yeah.
That's a whole, like, we'll be here for another hour if I have to go into OJ.
So, I'm going to jump into, I feel, what will be the last thing that we talk about on this podcast. We've covered such a wide view of the sports world, wrestling, movies now, 19-inch dongs, beer, and that's Shot Show.
You went into 19-inch dongs.
No, I
did
talked
not.
about it. You covered it. Take that how you will, people. But
Dear God.
we just finished up Shot Show out in Vegas. For those of you who are listening and listened to last week's podcast, that was the big industry, the gun industry, tactical industries show that happens every year out in Las Vegas. And that's pretty much when all the major companies come down and drop all the new stuff that they're going to come out with in 2017. So you see a lot of prototypes, a lot of gear that's going to be released later on, things of that nature. So there's a few things that come out of SHOT Show that were very impressive.
I just keep going. You're good.
One was the U.S. Army finally made their decision on the new pistol that they're going to take, and that is the SIG Sauer P320. The reason why they're doing this is because it can be configured for a smaller grip for people with smaller hands, or a larger grip with people like me who have big old mitts. So that's pretty iconic because it's a polymer gun that's going to be completely different from the current Beretta M9 that they have, and they took out the contract for 10 years. So SIG's going to get hot to trot on getting those out to the troops. Evan has one.
Wait a minute. So you're talking about my gun that I bought over Christmas break,
Yes.
and the Army.
Has decided to go with that platform. Yep.
So is it safe to say that I was a trendsetter for the Army? Like, I bought it, and then a few weeks later, they're like, they listened to the Main Event podcast, and they were like, this guy's onto something.
That's a pretty big possibility, or maybe a small one, depending on how you take it. Nonetheless, that's what they went with. That's pretty iconic. I think it's a step in the right direction. Now, it's only the Army that's taken this. So you have, the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force. I don't count the Coast Guard. Just fucking with you, Coasties. You're there.
Are they there, though?
Only a little bit. Just a little bit. But I think a lot of the smaller branches, mine included being the Marine Corps, will probably stay with the M9 for a while, and eventually we'll roll into something else. Polymers, state of the art, and it's been around for a long time. We're at the point now where it's going to happen. We got to go past the 1980s model 92F Beretta M9 9mm pistol. Some other things that come out were, Sig Sauer released a thermal sight that is no bigger than the equivalent of what I would say a whiskey glass is. Now, why is that relevant, Evan? I'll tell you why.
Why is it relevant, Zach?
When I first got in the Marine Corps, on a machine gun, we had, they were called PAS 13s, and it looked like the old school camcorders that you held on your shoulder that your dad videotaped Christmas morning with. That's how big this son of a bitch was. It's fucking huge. So now they have one that's like 2 inches by 2 inches, and it gives a complete thermal image. I mean, you could put it on any rifle, any weapon system you wanted, and it's lightweight. That's huge for the troops. It's huge for cops. I mean, for anybody, because it picks up that thermal heat and it gives you an advantage on a shoot, no shoot situation. So it's very unique to have. You can use it day or night, which is also a cool thing about it. So it's kind of a universal type sight. I don't know the price point on it yet. The other big thing, the only thing else I'll hit about, because we could do a whole podcast about SHOT Show, is there was a company called Hudson that come out with their H9. Now, it was the big,
they're a new company.
They're a brand new company, yeah, brand new gun manufacturing company, and they had the IT item at SHOT Show this year. It was called their H9. It is a 9mm polymer striker fire gun. Now, anyone who knows guns goes, Zach, that's nothing fucking new. You can go to your local Gander Mountain and there's fucking 20 of them sitting there. This one was styled completely different and more along the lines of a 1911. Now, from the videos and reviews that I've watched from, trusted gun people in the industry, they said it was a very well shooting gun, very flat shooting, and it was nice. Here's the hang up. The MSRP on this polymer striker fired 9mm pistol.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to ask a quick question for our guest. Is it going to be 4 figures?
No. Yes, actually. Yes.
It's going to be $1,000. Is that what we're looking at?
$1,200. All right, so this is a 9mm pistol where literally you can go buy a Glock brand new right now at any gun shop in America for $500. And it's a damn good weapon. Or you can buy Evans P320 for right around the same price, or an H&K VP9, which all are good goddamn weapons. So they did one after a 1911, and instead of giving you the 1911 look and quality and charging you $1,200 for a solid steel or aluminum frame pistol, they made it plastic and said, "Hey, watch this shit, and they're gonna charge you $1,200." That was such a sticker shock that everybody was like, "Oh, fuck no." No matter how well it operates, there's other guns that are less than half the price of that.
That'll do the same.
Oh yeah, that'll perform higher or better in operational status. So that was kind of it wasn't kind of very disappointing. It was extremely disappointing to see that happen. There was a lot of stuff that come out of SHOT Show this year. If you're interested, if you're a police, EMT, it's not just the gun industry. They do a lot of medical stuff, for firefighters, just the whole, pretty much first responders in general. There's a lot of stuff out there. Look it up. You can go... there's a ton of websites that'll track it. It's easy to find. Google the shit. You'll get it. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. A lot of cool stuff to talk about. But, again, we'd have to do a 3-hour show just to cover everything.
Yeah, SHOT Show just in general. There's all the firearms that you have going on and all the accessories you can get with it.
So
There's way too much.
one quick fact: literally, there are so many booths. It's a 650,000 square foot building. You could spend, with the amount of booths that are there, if you wanted to see every single thing, every booth, and visit it over the week that it's there, you could only be at each booth for 22 seconds. So let that sink in, folks. There's a whole mess of shit that we can't even talk about because we ain't got that kind of goddamn time.
I mean, I don't have to be at work until 7:15
tomorrow night.
I mean,
yeah.
Either way, but no, that Jesus, 22 seconds to visit each booth. That's not
oh, that's cool. Moving. Oh, that's cool. Moving.
I feel like you would have to skip all the things that you think are shit, and then even then, Hudson being a new company and they're not having shit products, you can't really.
You couldn't enjoy it, and mind you, with SHOT Show, there's range days where all the companies that are bringing out new products, new sights, new guns. If you're a part of the media, you can go out there and you get to shoot them, and you get to give your legitimate feedback and reviews of this on your websites or whatever else. Speaking of which. Folks, all I'm saying is if we get this podcast big enough, I'm all about going out to Las Vegas next year to SHOT Show, drinking a little drink, and shooting some guns and telling you the 411 on what's coming out new in the marketplace. So, share us. Evan,
yes.
What all are we on? We're on Facebook.
Yes, so with that being said, please, if you're listening to us right now, especially for iPhone users, even if you don't have an iPhone, you can still help us out if you just own a fucking computer. Go to iTunes, search The Main Event. We will be the logo that has... It shouldn't be hard to find us. We'll only have 2 episodes up, including this one. You'll find us at The Main Event. It has a wrestling ring with The Main Event in red, white, and blue lettering. Check us out on there. Please subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review if you do like us. Reason why I'm asking to do that, I'm not trying to pander or anything like that. If you like us, like it. Excuse me. If you don't like us, then fuck you. But go there, subscribe, give us a 5-star review. If you do all those things, that helps us boost our rankings so that when people hop on the iTunes, they look on new and noteworthy, or they just pull up iTunes in general,
and it has us sitting there.
Out of thin air, it will just have us sitting there, and more people can be exposed to us.
And again, this is a labor of love. We're making zero money off of this. We're just sitting down on a Sunday night, cracking a couple cold ones, talking the shit that we like to talk about, and putting it out to you, hoping that we have a fan base that will follow it.
Yeah, and we had a really, I think for being a local podcast, we had a really nice surge the first 24 hours that we were out. We went from, no subscriptions, no likes on Facebook or anything, to already having, I think it was 30 or 40 by that time. We've also, I asked you guys last week to shoot us an email with YouTube videos or links to music that some of you guys do. I've had a couple of people that have already been interested. I also have a guy, his name is Matt Watson. He's a Henderson County local in Henderson, Kentucky, who is a bartender at Fire Dome and is also a liquor store worker on night shift at the Beverage Barn in Henderson. He has a special limited release, something that they only give the guys that work at the Beverage Barn to drink. Not going to tell you what beer it is yet. You will have to check it out next week, because we're actually going to do an interview with him. We're going to talk about kind of the life of a bartender, any funny stories he has, any funny liquor store stories he has, anything like that.
Also with our review and our grades on the Royal Rumble from a fan's perspective.
Yes.
Because, that's obviously, I would say, second to third biggest show of the year. SummerSlam, Rumble, WrestleMania, those are your top 3. So you'll get our kudos, our points, our goods and bads. We're going to sit down. What we like to do is to actually watch the pay-per-views and kind of keep our notes to ourselves, if you will, our mental notes at least. Mm-hmm. And then once we get to you, it's just speaking, fresh from the heart and being able to go off of one another that way.
Yes, we will probably, because I'm kind of liking the format that we have for the beer. I think we'll kind of do it in an elongated review as we go on throughout the night. I kind of liked it. But once Royal Rumble rolls out, we're going to hit you guys with that as soon as we can. Again, guys, any local artist out there in the tri-state area, Henderson, Evansville, Owensboro, might even reach out if there's somebody out there that is not from our area but found the show just off cuff and likes it, and you're an artist, whether it be graphic design or by music. If you would like to do intro music or for us to just promote your music on our show as our fan base grows, let us know. Because I'm not gonna just take a video from you guys or a song, play it once and be done. If you send me an entire CD, then we will actually play, in the middle of the podcast as we continue on when we get sponsorships and things like that. Or if we do like commercials or something between here and now, we'll put your music on there when we come back in. We might even use it in the intro. Especially,
we're gonna switch it up.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be the static, same old. But again, we're trying to grow the brand. We have, all aspects of social media, and we want to get you out there.
Yes.
If your product's good and we like you, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, then please hit us up. Speaking of that, I have, an ending, if you will.
Absolutely.
I was able to put it out there, and I got a lot of good feedback from guys who I served with, from close friends in North Carolina. I already spoke about Mikey Mayhem down there, and I appreciate all the love and support that I got back. And I also have a couple buddies that were in the service that do music, and it just kind of hit me. I don't know why I even forgot about this. Shame on me, mainly because I spent too many drunken nights listening to them play while they were drunk. But listen, guys, if you've got something you want to put out here, please hit us up. Let us know. We're all about it. We know that you all have loves and passions that maybe you're trying to get off the ground too. And if we can support it, we're all about that. All about that action, boss.
Absolutely. So in closing, if you guys will, hit us up on Facebook, search The Main Event. It's going to have the same logo as on iTunes. It'll be red, white, and blue lettering with the wrestling ring and the lights behind it. You also, if like I said, those artists, or if you have any comments or any ways that you think we could be better, shoot us an email at themainevent45, that's just 45, @gmail.com. If you want to hit us up on Snapchat, I'm actually going to give you 2 different Snapchats to go off of. I'm going to give you my personal one because I'm going to start using it more for show purposes. If you want to add me on Snapchat, my name's Evan Wells. Look it up. It's going to be Evan T. Wells. All one word, all lowercase. If you want to check out The Main Event, Zach actually has it on his phone right now. It should be under Our Main Event. Add us up on Snapchat. You'll get videos and funny pictures from us throughout the week. Like I said, we're kind of starting to push the brand a little bit more. So definitely check that out. For Android users, I do have some luck for you guys. I have submitted our podcast onto Google Play. It's probably going to take about the same time it did for iTunes, hopefully sooner.
And we're going to push YouTube as well.
We're going to push YouTube as well. For right now, though, for Android users, you can actually go on your phone to Google Play and download the SoundCloud application. SoundCloud is where we host our shows from. So if you download the SoundCloud app, and then if you just type in the search bar The Main Event, again, it's going to be the same logo, wrestling ring, lights behind it with red, white, and blue lettering that says The Main Event. If you go on there and you check that out, you can subscribe and like us there. And again, iTunes right now is our foundation that we're spreading upon, but Android users, once we get it on Google Play, subscribe to us, give us 5-star reviews there as well, and that will help us out immensely, because the bigger we get, the more content we can bring to you. We have things lined up where we're talking to a model right now that might be coming in to do a show with us, talk about the life of modeling and kind of getting your start. We're going to have Matt Watson again next week as a bartender and a guy that knows the craft beer scene pretty well.
We're going to try to bring in, I have a friend of mine who is a professional wrestler on the independent scene who was actually trained by Shawn Michaels. We're going to try to talk to and maybe eventually get him in. We're doing a lot of local stuff, guys, and that's what it's going to be about. It's our fans' point of view on everything from sports, primarily wrestling, good craft beer. And then when we can touch on our local people and really push it back out there to the podcast world, what Southern Indiana and the tri-state area mainly has to offer, then that's what we're going to do, because why not grow where we live?
Exactly. That is our mantra. That is what we want to do. So again, guys, hit us up. Check us out. Snapchat at Evan T. Wells for Evan Wells. If you want to check out Zach / the main event. Snapchat, it's going to be at our main event. Shoot us an email if you have comments, questions, concerns, ways we can grow. If you want to be a part of the show, like I said, check us out at themainevent45@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook. Just, again, search the main event and we'll pop up. You know the logo. I've said it 3 times now. Twitter and Instagram are going to be coming within the next few days. Zach and I have had to work a lot at our job, so I haven't been able to dedicate the time to open up Twitter and Instagram and set that up to be in a stable position to where we can operate it easily. So check us out on those formats, guys. Again, we really appreciate the support that we've already gotten. Like I said, we had a very big fluctuation of people and traffic within the first 24 hours of the show, and it's gotten better throughout the week. So again, hit us up if you want to be a part of the show. If you have ways you think we can be better, tell us and we'll do it. We're open to suggestion. We want to be better. We want to make you guys happy. We want to do something we love doing. So help us be better. I mean, that's the main thing.
Word.
Yep. So with that being said, guys, we are going to close it out. Our shows are quite a bit longer than what we intended when we first started. We were going for an hour, but now we do like an hour and a half, hour and 40 now.
Yeah.
So, but not a bad thing, though. I think we have some good stuff to talk about. So that being said, guys, check us out again. I'm Evan Wells. I'm here with my tag team partner,
Zach Mendenhall.
and we will check in with you guys next Sunday for some sweet Royal Rumble action. And you guys have a lovely Sunday. Have a good time going back to work Monday. All that.
We love you. You know we mean it.
Bye, guys.